Ladies and gentlemen, we want you to stand and we want you to make some noise.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's go racing here at Knoxville.
Only the best go 3 abreast.
It is show time at Williams Grove Speedway.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, here at Eldora Speedway, it's showtime!
You've got a for a breath. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the world of outlaws.
It's time to sit back, relax, and enjoy because, ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime!
Set to do battle for 30 laps. The green flag is waving.
Hello again. It is Wing Nation here on Motor Racing Network. So glad you joined us talking sprint car racing, our favorite time of the week, and we are again so glad that you have joined us. Erin Evernham and Steve Post here as we are so ready for the season to begin.
I know. I can't wait. I've got TV is ready for tonight.
God, we've got to get some sprint cars on the racetrack. Now, we had some 360s last week, but then we got all washed out this week, other than Pete Walton, of course, getting races in. And then, but then we've, got All-Stars tonight, All-Stars tomorrow night, Outlaws. Man, good stuff, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm ready for it.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be a good year, that's for sure. So, how are you? How's things?
I'm good. How was LA? How was the big race in the Coliseum?
Racing in the Coliseum was phenomenal. It is such a weird dynamic, okay? And honestly, sprint car racing is the same thing too. And we're in quite the debate right now in sprint car racing with pay-per-view and live events and everything else. And there were 50,000+ people that thought the Clash at the Coliseum was spectacular, one of the greatest things they've ever seen. And then everybody else is in categories from that was good to the worst thing that ever happened. But the 50,000 were the ones that were there. Yeah. The event was bonkers. I am telling you, it was nuts. And I know a lot of my friends on social media, maybe not Wiz Khalifa fans, okay?
And Cypress Hill.
And Cypress Hill, old school right there.
Brought me back to high school.
Yeah. I know a lot of you might not have been, and you all turned everything off and are never going to watch NASCAR again and until the Daytona 500 airs next week. But there were 50,000 people in the grandstands there that were dancing their brains out. And so the event was fun. The event is really, really cool. But I think motorsports, I've really thought about this a lot. I think motorsports, and this is all motorsports, sprint car racing and everything else. I think it has got to be, I think it's comparable to hockey. Hockey is all right on TV.
Yeah.
Spectacular in person.
I'd agree with that.
Motorsports is good on TV, solid on pay-per-view, but it's so much better in person. I think what's cool, like Dirt Vision, when you get Johnny doing the call, I think you're closer to in person than probably anything else.
True.
Because you get the you wanted the best, you got them like we have in our opening there. But still, and again, right now with Flow Racing, with Lincoln Speedway, and Port had a post today that they're good to go with Flow. And the whole debate about going to the racetrack. There is nothing. Fox, NBC, MRN, PRN, Dirt Vision, Flow, name your revenue, name your stream. There's nothing any of us can do that is as good as in person.
No.
And that's the thing. And I think that's the message we need to get out to the sprint car world.
Well,
okay?
Honestly, I feel like that's across the board in life. Like,
yeah, you're right.
I catch my child watching YouTube videos of people riding ponies and out playing, and I'm like, how about we actually go out and play?
What a concept.
And stop watching someone else play.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing, but yet we're all stuck in front of these screens.
Yes,
yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh,
by the way,
to every facet
public
of life.
Service announcement, nothing to do with motorsports. My friend Paul Kelly, who's with Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Paul did this on his Twitter, and I'm going to forward it on. From 6 o'clock tonight to sometime tomorrow midday, turn off your Twitter because the State of the Union address is going on.
Ah.
Yeah, so turn off your Twitter, turn off your social media. It's garbage. It's just so much crap out there. And get out and live it. Go to a sprint car race. You are going to love a sprint car race better than you'll like it on Dirt Vision and Flow. And Dirt Vision and Flow, we love Dirt Vision and Flow and everybody else who does it, but it is so much better in person. That's the LA Coliseum. That's the LA Coliseum. And, I mean, it just is. It was fantastic. I'm leaving there, and it's just like, oh my God, I've never seen anything like it. I mean, I love calling live pit stops.
Yeah.
And there is a hip hop concert going on, and 50,000 people dancing, and I look to my left, and there's guys servicing pit cars, and our NASCAR cars. And I'm just like, I don't even know how this could get better, And then I get back to the hotel, and I go on Twitter and found out what a no good piece of crap it is. And I'm like, well, you know what? Y'all are wrong on Twitter. I was there in person, and it was great. So the message to the sprint car world is get to races. That's the message.
Yep.
And it all starts this week. Tonight and tomorrow night, All-Star Circuit of Champions. This is the Hefner Racing Product Hot Topics, by the way. All-Star Circuit of Champions, and I am so geeked up. Thursday through Saturday, World of Outlaw, NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars. Let's get after it.
Mm-hmm.
And we had all this year of, nobody's going to follow the Outlaws, and, High Limits is going to put them out of business, and rah-rah, and yeehaw, and yippee-ki-yay, and we're going to have a badass World of Outlaw season this year with all of the top drivers.
Yep.
It's going to be awesome. And in the middle of the week, we're going to have badass Tuesday, Wednesday night racing on the High Limit Series with an incredible list of drivers. And we're going to have the All-Stars, and we're going to have Pennsylvania, and we're going to have California, and we're going to have the Midwest. We're going to have all of it. But, folks, again, get out to the racetrack. Get out to the racetrack. That's what you need to do. But it all starts this weekend. Thank God it all starts this weekend. I cannot wait. I'm so sick. I want to be talking about who won, who did this, who did that, not who's not going where. I mean, let's go. Get after it. Now, I alluded to this early on. We know that when it comes to having races, nobody wants races more than Pete Walton. So USCS did race, winter heat, Friday and Saturday, Henry County Speedway. Friday night was Mark Smith picking up the win, Paulie Colagiovanni, Davey Franick. Saturday was Davey Franick, Jordan Poirier, and Gavin Boschel. Gavin Boschel in that new Christopher Bell, Brian Kemenade team. We're going to talk to Mark Smith in a little bit because Mark's got a little something going on for Central Pennsylvania fans as well in the 410 world. Oh, you think this guy's just out taking all the money from the 360 guys? He's got to try to take some money out of Pennsylvania as well. So we're going to do that. We'll talk to Mark. And one of the fun follows over the last 3-4 weeks has been Tony Bokhoven. Tony got a chance to go over and do the Grand Annual Classic with Wade, and he did and so we're going to talk to Tony, and the timing of this was great because last night the Marion County Fair Board approved the purses.
Yep.
Holy cow, for the 360 Nationals and the Knoxville Nationals. $15,000 to start the Knoxville Nationals.
$15,000 to start is pretty awesome.
That is pretty awesome, no doubt about it. So we had yesterday I wanted to get Tony on the show, so I was really glad they announced that last night because we'll get a chance to talk to Tony about that. So it is good. It is not good. It is great. It really is. Of course, I've been to a racetrack. Y'all need to get to racetrack. That's the theme. Get to the track. It is good. Man, this weekend I'm all pumped up about it. Another thing I'm all pumped up about is our friends at Hefner Racing Products. Now, HRP Wings, they're the original reset rivet wing manufacturer. They use wind tunnel and track performance testing to outpace the industry in design, innovation, and functionality.
Yep, and it's not only for sprint cars, but lightning sprints, micros, and junior sprints. And they can ship across the world and can be economically ground shipped to your door.
www.hrpracing.com, hrpracing.com. Stay with us. The Sage Fruit Hotline is going to get fired up here in a little bit, and Mark Smith, he joins us first. Sage Fruit is a premium grower, packer, and shipper of Washington tree fruit. Apples, pears, and cherries, and it's always an exceptional eating experience, and they're grown in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. Not only is their produce healthy, but they are grown with such care and precision that you can count on each piece of fruit having exceptional flavor. High-quality fruit, exceptional flavor, healthy snacking. Make sure when you go to your local grocery store, ask for Sage Fruit. Sage Fruit, it's our first choice for quick and easy snacking.
Dirt Empire Magazine is the ultimate dirt track racing only magazine in the world, featuring interviews, opinions, event photos, tech, and 100% racing action. Each issue includes late models, modified sprint cars, and more. Big event photos from the best photographers in the sport, and great one-on-one interviews with the top drivers.
Welcome back. It is Wing Nation, presented by Sage Fruit. Aaron Evernham, Steve Post. and a guy we probably talk to as much as anybody because he just wins a darn lot of races. He joins us, I'm assuming from the state of Florida. Who knows? He might be in Sunbury, he might be Mississippi, he might be, Lord knows where he's at. Mark Smith joins us. Hello, Mark. How are you? And we've lost Mark. Mark Smith, how are you?
Are you there?
Yes, we are there. Are you there?
I am here.
Where are you at, Mark?
I am actually in my shop in Pennsylvania.
See that? I would have had you in Florida. I'd have had you down south there in the sunshine, but it sounds like someone must be getting some work done today.
Yeah, well, I had to get back. I got a lot of work to get done. So I'm kind of flying back and forth right now, but I'll be heading back down on Sunday or Monday.
Yeah. Good deal. Good deal. Well, you kicked off the season or been racing a little bit. You went down to Hendry County on Friday night and scored the win. It has to be good to get a win out of the way here in February and get the rust knocked off and just get things started for your 2023 season.
Yeah, it sure is. You sit around all winter and then you go down there, and every year it's just like, okay, we're going to get another win this year or not. And so we ended up getting our first win on the first race of the year. So that got that out of the way, and pressure's off now. So we got one win so far this year, and we got a top 5 the next night. So hopefully next weekend we can go to East Bay and win all of those, because that's my goal, to win all 3 nights.
Wow. Mark, it seems like between what Pete Walton's doing and just things in Florida, there's a little bit more 360 racing. We always had East Bay to go to, but now you got Hendry County. He had them over at Volusia. What is that like for the 360 guys to give them a little bit more racing early in the year?
It's a good jump start. Obviously it's expensive to drive down there from up here. I'm lucky to be able to drive for somebody that's out of Jacksonville, which is Terry Witherspoon and JD McLeary. They've been, I drove for them down there last year. So it makes it a lot easier on the wallet when you can just show up and drive for somebody instead of being a car owner.
No doubt. I'm sure about that. That is for sure. You got together with Terry and that 43 car last year, and it looks like they've got pretty good equipment. Looks like you've got yourself a pretty good piece when you go run those 360 races.
Yeah, we sure do. Like we started off the year here at Hendry with a win and a top 5 on the second night. And, last year, I don't think the whole time we were racing, I don't think we were out of the top 3 in Florida. Hopefully we can go down and kind of repeat that. It'll actually be a little better, because my goal every year going to East Bay is to win all 3 nights. I've gotten the first 2 nights once and run second the final night. So I'm slowly trying to get to that point, but it's obviously it's really tough to even just get one win there. But you got to set a goal for yourself. So that's my goal for the year.
Well, it sounds like you've got some pretty good chances. Mark, I know we talked to you early in the year in previous years, and you've stayed down in the South, and you mentioned now you're flying back and forth, working at the chassis business, I assume. What is that? How different is that for you to have to fly back and forth and worry about business and not just spend that time down in Florida and focus on racing?
Well, I mean, it's kind of hectic and a little tough to keep focused on what you're doing, but I got all my maintenance done before I left, so we're pretty much ready to go, for the next races. So it's not too awful bad, but I got so much work here in the chassis deal that, I can't stay away very long. There before when COVID and stuff was going on, I wasn't busy at all, so I could stay away. But now I got to be around and take care of this stuff. Yeah.
How is, in general terms, I don't need to get into your business as far as dollar and cents go, but chassis manufacturing, the chassis business, you sound like you're busy. Are things rolling along well in that industry?
Yeah, so far. I sent a bunch of cars out to Indiana this year, which was a hard market I've been trying to get into for the last 12 years. And being that Kyle Cummins started winning all those races last year with our stuff, that kind of might have opened up a little bit of some eyes there. And we ended up sending a bunch of non-wing cars out to Indiana this winter. So hopefully he'll go down here to Florida and keep repeating what he's been doing.
Mark, what does your schedule look like for the year? I know there's been some mention of a 410 ride in Pennsylvania. I'm sure you've got more 360 stuff on the docket. But sometimes you're jumping in trucks and you're racing Silver Crown cars. What does your schedule look like for the year?
Well, we haven't sat down. I'm going to be driving for Ron Rutherford this year in the 19 car in Pennsylvania. And we haven't really sat down and nailed down a schedule yet. We were pretty much waiting until I got done with all the stuff in Florida. But, we're planning to do about 40 races with his stuff. And, I'm going to dabble with some non-wing stuff in there. And I still have my Silver Crown cars, so I'll probably do about 3 to 4 races with my Silver Crown car. And then, who knows, whatever else pops up, I'll drive whatever.
Mark, you always fascinate me because there are some guys that just do non-wing, some guys that do wing. Is this just kind of what scratches your itch? I mean, I know you're building chassis, so success in non-wing cars and wing cars, but you just seem to be this drifter kind of character that'll run wing shows, 410s, 360s, and everything. Is that just kind of fit your style?
I guess. I like to run a little bit of everything. Just because it also helps my customers, when it comes down to giving them information, I can help them with the non-wing stuff, maybe not as much as I can with the wing stuff, because I got a lot to learn with the non-wing stuff. I know enough to be dangerous. That's about it with the non-wing stuff, but the wing stuff, I can help in doing all the variety of wing or 360 to 410. It just helps me keep up with kind of what's going on with chassis stuff, because from the 360 to the 410s, it's different. I mean, they're the same but different. And obviously the non-wing stuff's completely different, but it just helps me keep sharp on setups and also, I like driving whatever I can get in.
Yeah. Mark, when I first met you, you are certainly a staple in the Pennsylvania 410 world. And like Steve's saying, last few years, it seems like you're running 360 stuff, all these different types of cars. Now you're going back, running 40 races in PA. That's got to be pretty neat. I know you have a big fan base there, and obviously your business is there. So it's got to be neat to know you're going to be spending some time with the posse.
Yeah, it'll be nice to kind of stay close to home. I did it last year a little bit. I started staying close to home as a car owner just because of the fuel prices and stuff. It was just so expensive to travel, and and it's getting tough for me as a car owner to keep on with these cost increases. It just gets tougher and tougher to do it. So I've been trying to find somebody that I could drive for this year. So I'm able to bring some of my equipment along and supply to another partner to be able to keep doing this stuff, and it just make it easier on everybody. As far as Ron, he's going to be the sole car owner, and I'm just going to be the driver, and I'm just bringing some equipment, and so basically I'm just a hired driver.
That's neat. That really is. Now, and I understand Ron has, I believe Ron's son Tyler runs 368s. Is there a little bit of mentorship and some assist maybe that you're going to give with him as well?
Oh yeah. We're there's a whole plan there. We're gonna work with him and stuff. When we're not doing we're not racing, and hopefully we can mentor him into the 410s later. Within a few years, and that's kind of the plan, and then that'll kind of help me kind of work out of the driving part of it and maybe get into a crew chief type role.
Is that something you would relish?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I haven't really done it yet, so I can't really say for sure. But because I'm not getting any younger, and I want to go out still winning races and stuff. I don't want to be hanging around, just kind of running around just to race. If I don't go to the racetrack, I'm not thinking I'm going to win. I don't want to be going.
Yeah.
So, but everybody's got to find something to do when they quit this stuff. So hopefully in a couple of years I can, mentor maybe Tyler, and we can, have something for later down the road that I can work towards.
Neat. Great stuff. Well, I'm always happy when Pete Walton sends out a note that you've picked up another win, or whoever sends up a note you picked up another win. We congratulate you on that, and we always appreciate the time and wish you the best going down there to East Bay to get three. That's what we're looking for down there. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We wish you the best on that, Mark.
All right. Well, thanks. Thanks for having me on, and I always appreciate your time.
You got it. Absolutely. Mark Smith joining us. Boy, I tell you what, you're Tyler Rutherford, and you're going to get mentorship from Mark Smith.
You're in good hands.
Mark's excited about it, and I'm sure Ron is, but I'm telling you, if I'm Tyler, I'm not sleeping at night because Mark has been there, done it, seen it all, bought the T-shirt, sold the T-shirt, bought the fuel, sold the fuel, bought the car, sold the car. I mean, he's done it all, and that's why he's just such a fascinating guy. I love getting a chance to talk to Mark Smith. We did that on the Sage Fruit Hotline. Stay with us. When we come back, our old buddy Tony Bokhoven from out in Knoxville, he joins us now. Sage Fruit is a premium grower, packer, and shipper of Washington tree fruit. Apples, pears, and cherries, and it's always an exceptional eating experience, and they're grown in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. Not only is their produce healthy, but they are grown with such care and precision that you can count on each piece of fruit having exceptional flavor. High-quality fruit, exceptional flavor, healthy snacking. Make sure when you go to your local grocery store, ask for Sage Fruit. Sage Fruit, it's our first choice for quick and easy snacking.
The National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum's newest exhibit will be our track tribute to Williams Grove Speedway inside the museum's main floor from April 3rd through October 2nd this year. You'll learn about the beginning of Williams Grove Speedway and the evolution of sprint car racing on the East Coast through 8 of the iconic big cars and sprint cars that made up the history of Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania's Williams Grove Speedway. Plus, you'll see videos of historic National Open sprint car races and other racing events that put Williams Grove on the map. That's the track tribute to Williams Grove Speedway, featured April 3rd through October 2nd at the only museum in the world solely dedicated to sprint car racing, the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville, Iowa.
We appreciate Bob Baker and everyone at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum. And when I just say Knoxville, I think of my buddy out there, Tony Bokhoven. Man, I'll tell you what, I cannot wait to see what they have going on this year there. But Tony got a head start on all of us.
Yeah.
And I'm not all that happy about it, actually. I'm a little
envious.
Yeah, I'm a lot envious. He went down, he did the Grand Annual Classic, was down there in Australia, and he joins us on the Sage Fruit Hotline. Hello, Tony, how are you?
Good morning. I'm great. How are you guys?
We are fantastic. Big picture, what was it like to go to Australia in the summertime down there?
It was, the first time for me at a sprint car race in Australia, so that was really cool. But it was great. They do things a little bit different than we do here in the United States, which was fun to experience. And, they call things from an announcer's perspective. They call things differently than we do, so that was kind of fun. And so, now I'm about a week after, I'm still thinking about some of the cool things that happened. It was just a great experience.
Tony, when you say that they call things different and they do things a little different, I'm curious what that, to dive into that a little bit more. We had Brad Sweet on our show that's going to air later in the week on MAV TV yesterday, and he talked about some of that, some of the format, some of how they just do things. Can you elaborate a little bit for us?
Yeah. So of course their format's different, right? Yeah. They run the 2 heat race format compared to what we do. From the first night, they called the drivers to the dummy grid. I about fell off my chair. I'm like the dummy grid. We call that drivers to staging, right? So they call it the dummy grid. when they do a lineup, they say going from 1 or going from 2, and we would say starting on the pole or outside of row 1 or starting on the inside of the second row. So they do that stuff a little different. Just some of those things that I thought was kind of cool. It caught me off guard, that I wasn't expecting, just because, we haven't been, that's not how we do things here, right? We just do it different. But so things like that probably caught me off guard the most.
Tony, what's the sprint car vibe down there? What's it like? You've obviously been part of the North American Knoxville Nationals, now the Grand Annual Classic, which is the Australian version. What's the vibe like of that event?
It's very similar. They do something called the running of the bulls, right? So when we think of running of the bulls, you imagine what happens in Brazil when they run in front of the bulls. Well, when everybody gets in the queue to get into the facility, and to get your seat, you run as fast as you can and you claim your spot on one of the hills.
Oh my God.
But they are super passionate about racing there. The amount of times I got asked about, do I think that an American can compete easily in Australia? Easily is the key word there. And they're very in tune with what's going on in the United States, at Knoxville, at Eldora, in Pennsylvania. They don't miss a thing there. So when we talk about passionate sprint car fans, sometimes we forget about the Australia sprint car fans, right? Because we're thinking about all the big pockets of racing around here. But they're very, very, very passionate sprint car fans there. And trust me, when you start talking about thinking that, Sheldon's going to beat so-and-so, they're quick to tell you why that's not the case.
Tony, I got to run the Grand Annual Sprint Car Classic almost 20 years ago now, and I remember the vibe there. It was crazy strong back then. People were very passionate about sprint car racing, but they were very hospitable. Like they were, they'd hand you a beer at 9 o'clock in the morning, but I just loved the Australian. They were so welcoming. Did you seem to experience that as well?
I did. And, one of the things, Erin, that I thought was cool is, they line that entire facility with race fans. Mm-hmm. Whereas we would have a grandstand on the front straightaway or on the back chute, at Knoxville, they circle that entire racetrack with fans. And there were a couple of times I walked over to Mount Mac, and I could have had beer, I could have had sandwiches, I could have had anything I wanted, because they just welcome you in. At Premier, they sell, Postman, you love it, they sell these cinnamon donuts that are, Erin, you probably remember them. They're the best hot donut you've ever had in your life. And I went and called a heat race from outside of turns 1 and 2, which is Tent City over there. It's all these big pop-up tents. And I couldn't hardly get out of there because they wanted me to come in and have a Coke or have some donuts, or, they love Americans as much as we love having Australians come over here. And that was really cool for me to experience because, I'm just an announcer. I am not the show, right? And so I would tell you that I got treated every bit as good as the drivers did.
My gosh, that is so cool. One of the things in common is some racers like Brooke Tatnell was over there. Yep. The Madsen boys, a lot of familiar people as far as that goes. What was that like? Guys that you call, every that's got to be weird to call them in their native land and to be around them in their native land.
Yeah, I mentioned that very thing, Postman, at the breakfast that they have kicked the whole weekend off. Was as an announcer, but more as a sprint car fan, it was really cool for me to be able to announce those guys in their home country. Because I've announced hundreds of their races in the United States, but to be able to talk about Brooke, who's from Sans Souci, New South Wales, in New South Wales was really cool. And, when you're probably the same way, like for me, my first question was, how close are we to Bridgewater, South Australia? Because that's where Jamie Moyle's from. Right. And so those people, they love those guys. When Brooke Tatnell walks into a room, Elvis has showed up, and they appreciate Terry Madsen more than I could ever imagine. And so it was fun to finally get to call them in their home country because, I realistically probably thought I would never get to do that. And to hear the crowd cheer for them is like hearing, the crowd cheer when Terry McCarl pulls on the racetrack or Brian Brown pulls on the racetrack. I mean, they love those guys, and they love the fact that they come over to the United States and are competitive.
Yeah. Tony, when you're announcing over there, you talked about the different lingo. Did you try to use their lingo, or did you stick to what we do in America? And I have this tendency when I'm talking to someone with an accent that I start to talk a little bit like them. Does that ever happen when you're on? I mean, you're surrounded by a bunch of Aussies, and just Wade alone, I start talking with a little bit of an accent.
Yeah, it was funny. On the first day when I got there, we had a little bit of a meeting with Gavin, and who's one of the local announcers, and Wade, and Michael Perry, who runs the racetrack now. And interestingly enough, the first thing they said to me was, don't try to call the races like we do. We brought you here because we want to experience the American and calling a race in Australia. That's what they wanted. So it kind of took the pressure off of me, honestly, because I was thinking, do I have to call a slide job a speculator, or do I have, those kind of things? And thank God I didn't, because I was trying to balance calling cars that I've never seen before and getting all of that part right. What I did pick up was, they have phrases like, when we talk about that guy over there, right? Or hey, do you remember that guy we worked with last weekend? They call him like old mate. Hey, old mate last weekend brought us a tire. I picked up some of those things, but I don't think I picked up the accent or anything like that, but I did pick up some unique terms.
What was that? What was the slide job? As a what'd you call it?
Speculator.
Speculator.
That sounds way too more challenging.
I do want to hear a speculator in Knoxville though this year. I want to hear a speculator. I want to hear that. That's fantastic. And Tony, speaking of Knoxville, and I think I mentioned this, we'd wanted to reach out to you. We knew last week was jet lag city. We know it's marginal jet lag city now. We wanted to reach out to you, and how about our good timing, our good fortune? John McCoy went to the fair board last night, and the Knoxville Raceway, Knoxville Nationals purse, $1.159 or $1,159,000, 185 to win, 15 grand to start. A great purse in the 360 Nationals. Tony, it has got to be really neat for you as the host, the announcer at this track, to see the fair board, John, everybody just keep pouring back into this big event when we all come out there to your neighborhood in a few months.
Yeah, it really is. And, there's been a lot of pressure on the fair board and on Knoxville lately because of all these big paying events that have showed up, the Million to Win, what the folks at Houston have done, with their big race, with the High Limit Series. Everybody's been asking, okay, Knoxville, you always paid more, what are you going to do? And probably one of the things that makes me most proud of Knoxville Raceway and of the Marion County Fair Board is they recognize that the Knoxville Nationals is a big event. It's a long event. Erin, you've experienced it. It's a long week. It's an expensive week. And so instead of paying the man that wins all the money, they took that money and spread it across the field, right? And so, look at it this way. You could make the argument that there's no A main in the country that pays $724,000 to the top 24 finishers. That's huge money, And so, $15,000 to win. You can win $20,000 for finishing 10th. There's drivers that will never win a $20,000 race in their career, but if you can finish 10th in the Knoxville Nationals, it's $20,000. So I'm really excited about that. I'm glad that the fair board didn't they could write a check. They could say, oh, well, you want to pay $1 million to win? We can do that too, because they could. And I'm glad they didn't, though. I'm glad they spread it out because running the Knoxville Nationals is not getting any cheaper. And so it gives a few more guys a chance to make a few bucks. Same way with the 360 Nationals. With the lap money, you could win $35,000 for the 360 Nationals. So that's all really positive stuff, in my opinion.
Yeah, I love that they spread out that purse. Certainly for someone who's made the A main twice, but I don't think I finished above 18th. So yes, I love that they did that with the purse. Tony, I wanted to pick your brain a little bit about what you said about Knoxville feeling the pressure from these other big races. There's it seems like it's a big topic of conversation in our sport when you have the Chili Bowl that's paid $10,000 to win for a gazillion years, and you still get the big names. However, this year it didn't have a few of them. But the Knoxville Nationals have such a long history, and it's such a prestigious race, and it's being able to say you won that race. But like you said, there are these races now that are coming in with big purses. What is that like from your point of view?
Well, I think a couple things have to be factored in. Is it's easy to pay $1 million to win one time, but to pay the kind of purses that the Knoxville Nationals has paid for as many years as they have done it, to me is really the testament. And you're right that winning the Knoxville Nationals is super important to the drivers. And, we've always heard they'd race for a watermelon, but they really wanted to win, right? We've always heard that joke. Yep. Mm-hmm. And I think that the money is important, but winning the Knoxville Nationals, as you know, Erin, is not easy. Just qualifying for the feature alone is not easy. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad that they didn't overreact. I was asked about that many times in Australia about, okay, when's Knoxville's big announcement? And my response was, well, what big announcement are you expecting? Mm-hmm. Because I don't think it does. I don't think it does the sport any good for us to go out, or Knoxville to go out and pay $1 million or $1.1 million to up Eldora, because all that does is squeeze the smaller tracks that are trying to put on profitable shows, because the pressure just keeps trickling down, right? It starts somewhere, and then everybody else has to kind of come along. And there are promoters that are lucky if they can break even or make a few dollars in putting on a race. So I'm glad that Knoxville didn't do anything like that. I'm glad they stepped back and said, nope, we're glad those tracks are doing it, and we'll support it. We went dark a few nights so that Jackson can have some more cars, or Houston can have cars. That's, to me, how you lead the industry as the premier racetrack. Is you don't have to be reactionary. You don't have to pay the most money to win, as long as your program is solid and repeatable.
Yeah,
real wisdom there.
And you can maintain that sustainability.
Yeah.
Right.
But did you say it's easy to pay $1 million? Man, the machine business must be good for you, Tony. Holy cow, you must be selling and wheeling and dealing.
Well, I don't mean that it's easy in the true sense that, hey, anybody can do it. But my point is just, you can put on a big race one time. Yeah. But
agree.
Try to do that 2 years in a row or 3 years in a row. And not that, and look, I'm not trying to cast any shade on those races, because I love it. Yeah. And I love racing at Eldora. And, it breaks my heart that many nights I can't go because we're racing, because I love what Eldora does for the sport. I love what Houston is doing. And we need those kind of tracks, doing those events just to keep people excited, keep, the focus on sprint car racing. So don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm not casting shade on them for doing that. I just think it's really important to step back and say, we want to offer a product that we can repeat. And I think that's what Knoxville's been long known for, is always being known for having the best overall purse for a big event like the Nationals.
Totally agree. And you presented that well. I was thinking, though, if you're doing $1 million thing, if you need anyone to carry your bags around the country or anything like that, I mean, man.
Carry your bags to Australia.
Yeah, carry your bags to Australia, or maybe some of that'll fall out of your wallet and, trickle along there.
Well, as you know, Postman, this announcing gig is quite lucrative.
Oh, you know our business way too well, don't you? Oh, my gosh, that is cool. Tony, finally, just as we're still a few months out from the opener, but the overall season at Knoxville, what you hearing out there? How are things looking for you guys out there?
I think it's looking good. Lots of excitement. We've got Tyler Gronendijk, who's been a champion in our 305 division, moving up to the 360s this year. Nice. So that's going to be really good. He's a competitive guy, small team, but very competitive. I just texted with Terry McCarroll last night. He's ready to go again. He's looking to do some other stuff too, but going to be back in the 360s. We're going to have Lachlan McHugh racing with us on a fairly regular basis in the Deuce 5 car that JJ Hickle drove last year. So I think all three of our classes are going to be really strong again this year. And having the Madsons there. Kerry's going to do some time with Guy Forbrook again this year, so that'll be good. To give Brian Brown a run for his money, so to speak. All indications are we'll have 3 strong divisions again this year.
It's going to be exciting. That is for sure, Tony. And complete honesty, I love just following along your social media over the last couple of weeks, your journey to Australia and back. Really, really good stuff. And I'm glad we had a chance to share with you here today on Wing Nation. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you down the road real soon.
All right. Thanks, Steve and Erin. I appreciate you having me on.
There we go. Tony Bokhoven. Boy, he is so right about the when he was talking about the sustainability and that Knoxville every year it gets better and better and better, but it's repeatable year
and
after
it's paid
year after
throughout
year.
the field.
Throughout the field.
It was 20 years ago. I remember just making the A-Main. We're like, wow, this is like our biggest payout so far this year.
Yeah, $15,000 to start the A-Main. I saw it like because the front four from the B obviously move in. I think 5th place $10,000.
Yeah.
In the B main, which is to win a standard World of Outlaw race.
Exactly.
I love it. I really do. And great to catch up with Tony as always. Always love talking to him. And gotta check out those cinnamon donuts that they have over there down under. We need to step away. When we come back, more Wing Nation. Sage Fruit is a premium grower, packer, and shipper of Washington tree fruit. Apples, pears, and cherries, and it's always an exceptional eating experience, and they're grown in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. Not only is their produce healthy, but they are grown with such care and precision that you can count on each piece of fruit having exceptional flavor. High-quality fruit, exceptional flavor, healthy snacking. Make sure when you go to your local grocery store, ask for Sage Fruit. Sage Fruit, it's our first choice for quick and easy snacking. So we were all jacked up this week. Wanted to talk to all of our friends with the World of Outlaws. You guys actually, Erin and Ashley, for our MAV TV show later on as Brad Sweet joins them. We're all jacked up, and we reach out. Who are we going to get? We're going to talk to Gravel. No, can't do that. No, we can't do this one. No, they're shooting all their video stuff today. So I cannot wait. I'm bummed that we weren't able to get our World of Outlaw drivers on with us today, but I think they're in lunch break down there now. And they're
doing all their poses.
Yeah, they're doing all their poses and all their video shoots. And so can't wait to see what the World of Outlaws has, because their Dirt Vision on screen. I know I sat there one night at Houston's last year just watching the drivers tell about their favorite car, their favorite street car, their first street car. World of Outlaws and Dirt Vision do such a good job, and so they're busy doing that. But man, we've not lacked, that's for sure, with Mark Smith and Tony Bokhoven joining us here as well. National Sprint Car Hall of Fame birthday calendar yesterday: Speedy Helm, Larry Sullivan, Bill White. Later this week, Sunday would have been the birthday of Dick Toby Tobias. Fred Offenhauser would be on Saturday. Alex Morales, Jan Opperman would be Thursday. Jimmy Oski tomorrow, and tomorrow is the birthday of Gene Lynch. And you get a smile on your face when I mention Gene Lynch.
I do. I love Gene. I love the family. Got to know them when, I was racing full time, and just a person that has been so impactful, a woman that's been so impactful in the sport of sprint car racing.
She was a 2013 inductee into the Sprint Car Hall of Fame, the 3rd woman to be inducted into the Sprint Car Hall of Fame. She got involved in motorsports because she married a guy named Ed Lynch. And that started at 1968. She had her first job. It was a track in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. She was a publicist. She sold tickets. She did lineups. She scored the races. She did payoff. And her career took her from everywhere from NASCAR to kart to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, All-Star Circuit of Champions, and numerous tracks across the country. Numerous tracks. She was the promoter. She was the general manager of so many of those, including Tri-City Speedway in Franklin, Pennsylvania. She was the promoter of the racetrack there. And one of her drivers acted up. So she gave her husband a 2-week suspension from racing because he acted up.
Well, you got to do what you got to do.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's pretty badass.
Setting an example there.
Well, she set an example there, and that's it. So Gene Lynch, Hall of Fame, 2023 inductee into the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame. We talked about this, and I'm so fired up about it. We're racing tonight, All-Stars. And tonight and tomorrow night on Flow Racing from Volusia. And then Thursday night, going to pop some popcorn, pop a top on a cold frosty one, and dial up some Dirt Vision for the World of Outlaw NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars. I want to echo what I said at the top of the show. We are in for a treat this year.
Yeah, we are.
Our sprint car racing. I just feel like there's so much good going on there. And we're just in for a treat. And again, get out to the racetracks. I'm going to re-echo that too. get out to the racetracks, but where we can't make it to the racetracks, Flo and Dirt Vision do a great job covering it, and cannot wait to see how things unfold this week. And then won't be long, Pennsylvania will be starting up, and then it's game on, then it's hang on. So, but it's fun stuff. It really is. So neat stuff. That is for sure. We are very active and involved on social media. We have a Twitter account. We have a Facebook page and a Facebook group, and all of these shows and everything that you are following along with can be found on our YouTube page. You can get Wing Nation gear at shopwingnation.com. That's shopwingnation.com. Or if you go to the racetrack, Tom Book Motorsports, that's Justin Peck's team, merchandise trailer, wherever they travel, they will have Wing Nation gear, and Sky has just done a great job with that gear. So you chatted Wing Nation presented by Sage Fruit for TV. For Rev and for Mav, you talked to Brad Sweet.
We did. We had a great visit. Yes, he seems like he's in a really good place, and they're very optimistic about the year.
I'm sure they are.
Yeah, he was very chatty. It was a good conversation.
That's good. Brad's just become such a wonderful, obviously a wonderful champion in the sport, and then all the work he's done out in California with the racing out there, and then with high limits. It's going to be neat. It's going to be neat to see how this year unfolds and how things all sort out. So you can catch that. Rev TV, Wednesday night at 8:30. Mav TV, our new time, 12:30 on Friday. And I got busted beyond you with everyone telling everyone to set their DVRs. Everyone, whatever you need to do to record it or watch it live. That's
VCR.
it. So VCRs. Who knew? Next thing I know, I'm going to walk into Best Buy and say, "Do you have any VCRs?"
Yeah. Where's the nearest Blockbuster?
Yeah. Where's the nearest? Yeah, because I'm going to Blockbuster to get some movies. Yeah, fun stuff. So, great time, that's for sure. We do appreciate Mark Smith and Tony Bokhoven for joining us here on the program. But more important than that, thank you for joining us here on Wing Nation this week.